Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, and let's see, what do these tea leaves have to say tonight? Oh my goodness. It's been a long day. Sometimes it just hits you, doesn't it? Hopefully you all are doing well. And so, the card for tonight is the Ace of Wands, which is a very passionate card. It has a lot of the fire energy, that creative fire, emotionality. Just beautiful. Okay, so I want to go ahead. I want to go ahead and start here. The first formation we have is a person who is standing and holding up what looks like a cup. Okay. This is not unlike the motif of Kali. Okay, and standing on a standing on is it with Shiva, right? And so and let me get my words together here. And so Kali as the consort of Shiva, or an aspect of Shiva. This is I think in what we're looking at here anyways, a suppression of some aspect of self, or maybe a using an aspect of your being, part of the multitude of archetypes that are active within our being, right? We all contain many sides. And we have what we would consider our consort, our anima or animus, and what is connected to that, right? That can go down like a long... I'm trying to figure out how to shorten this. I don't want to go down the long rabbit hole of Jungian archetypes. But so... looking at this and holding up the cup, I feel like you have been in the process of mastering a part of yourself, but also a divine love for self, okay, within self. And really coming into a place of power, right, through that kind of unifying, getting rid of guilt, shame, questioning yourself constantly. Okay, you are coming into this very natural state, and in relation to the Ace of Wands, I think that it has a lot to do with the creative aspects of your trying to get the cat to go the other way here. It has to do with your pioneering spirit. You are very innovative within your creativity, being able to kind of come up with new and different ways, maybe to make resources, to cultivate different interests and passions in your life. And you've really come into a place of power here because of that. And I think it's interesting, though this is different than Kali kind of standing on the chest stuff, which, because Shiva is on his back, and they are ultimately one and the same, but on his back it is more a posture of being receptive, right? Now this one, it looks like the person is kind of on their hands and knees, right? So you kind of standing upon this. So I feel like, though this is also, I think, a part of you. I don't think you're, climbing on top of somebody to get ahead or something like that. But I think that you are really almost like breaking your back to get to where you need to go. And it really is putting you into this place of power. Now, holding the cup, which I would say is very much related to the Ace of Cups, or, this idea of like the Grail. It holds the waters of creativity, of passion, of the unconscious, kind of this life-giving source element. And to have a vessel to contain that is truly a place of power. And to be able to hold and behold that while standing on kind of, this solid foundation of hard work, of self-realization, of self-unification, is something to behold. Okay, now next to it we have a figure who is sitting and kind of leaning forward, and it looks like there's some kind of animal down there looking at them, maybe a dog or a cat. And this seems to be almost an enthroned person, possibly. But I would say that this is a person who is in a place of knowing, because they are sitting, they are confident in their power and their knowledge, okay? Like the emperor, the high priestess, the empress, okay? So now looking at this animal, and the animal is gazing back up, eye to eye contact. There is a sense of this harmonious relationship, probably a symbiotic relationship between the two, and really having some kind of energy that is attractive to animals of other species. So I feel that you are a person who has a kind of love, peace, empathy that kind of emanates from you, and it makes it easy for you to connect with people and animals. I think that animals are probably pretty drawn to you. So I think that this is important since it shows up here. And I think that this really has to do with, as you come into this place of great power, right, and great ability, you are ascending. If you were an initiate, you would be going up the grade system, right? More and more, the universe reveals mysteries to you. I think that this is a message, though, of staying tempered, okay, with this understanding, this knowledge, this process of transmuting that knowledge into wisdom. You must stay grounded. You must continue to have that, humbling of self, openness, ability to continue to connect with these more natural things, so that you don't lose yourself in this pursuit of alignment, of ascension, and so on. I think that so often this does happen. You know, people begin to do well in their career, their creative life, their spiritual life they perceive to be going along well. They get some recognition, or, you know, they ascend in some kind of grade system or whatever, and lose that beautiful thing that got them there in the first place, that, you know, brought them to the spiritual path, or at least awoken them in the beginning of this path. And through that kind of, you know, self-adoration, I guess, things get distorted, right? It gets a little murky in there. You forget yourself. You forget why you're doing what you're doing. You forget how to connect to other people, how to connect to the universe. You know, you get drunk on your own distortions. And, you know, that's hard. That can be really heartbreaking, because, you know, a spiritual path, is living a spiritual life of any kind, is not easy. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of very confronting moments that can span, you know, long periods of time, years even. It's not a simple thing. You don't just decide. There's, you know, a lot of devotion that goes into the way. And so it is kind of just senseless, it feels like, when you watch somebody, you know, start to believe the delusions or illusions or whatever of grandeur, and kind of, you know, fall from grace in their own way. And kind of waste their own time, ultimately. Okay. So here we have a Scorpion, and I look at this and I wonder, you know, do you have a Scorpio in your life, or a prominent Scorpio placement? Now I see the Scorpion, and I see a person here kind of running. It looks like they maybe have a bow. So maybe this is a Scorpio Sagittarius combo. But either way, the posture of it seems like there is some amount of excitement and conflict. So I wonder if this is not somebody who you have some kind of relationship with, a friendship with. You know, there is a sense of hunting and being hunted, right? Kind of a back and forth. I wonder if there is not a pretty competitive nature in this dynamic. And although I think that can be something that is motivating for you, it is something that can also be really distracting as well. Come on down. Come on, baby. Thank you. So, you know, I think it's something to be mindful of. You know, I think that this goes in line with this sense of coming into, I mean, I think you've been doing pretty well, feeling pretty good about the things that you have been creating, that you have been working on, your family relations, your love life probably. And so I think that there's this there can be a natural instinct anyways to kind of want to show that off a little bit, or, you know, like have something to offer into this like ongoing competitive entanglement you're in. And so, you know, I think just, you know, be easy with it, right? I think ultimately this is just, you know, not good practice. Anyways, I'm superstitious in that the moment I start gloating about something, or, you know, showing off in any way, that's when things like take a turn. I like sabotage my own self. You know, I think that there's another good instance of needing to humble self a little bit. You know, it's good. It's wonderful to celebrate your successes and be excited when you get on, right? But you have to try to remember what it feels like when you were struggling and there were other people around you who were doing really well and they just did not, you know, have the mindfulness to be, you know, a little bit tempered about how they presented or exclaimed their victories. So, you know, just something to think about. Okay, so we have, it looks like two animals. They look like, to me, they look like two goats who are out kind of standing around. And I feel like this is kind of, oops, I almost touched it, or I did touch it. Kind of almost like witnessing something emotional and divine. Actually, you know what? They look like two wolves. That's what it looks like because the head is up. So I think at night, you know, we have two wolves, and I think witnessing something beautiful. Do you ever think about that? Like animals out there, it's nocturnal animals. I wonder what they witness, like in the sky. I spend so much of my nightlife in the house, right, or sleeping, and I wonder what kind of beautiful occurrences happen while it's the animals that are watching. So I think that something profound is going to show itself to you. You will be a witness to that. And I think this will be confirmation that everything is in the right place. Okay, and then over here, we have a really beautiful little, let's see if we can get this in here. Try to shine the light. Yeah, there we go. So we have a person who's kind of almost like they're on their knees, or they're kind of like sitting. My goodness, will you stop? Sitting, and it looks like there's a child in front of them. Okay, and they're kind of meeting face to face. And so I feel, because this is in the metaphysical and this is in the emotional as well, a sense of meeting yourself and kind of really like giving your child self a hug, right? I feel like you really are proud of how far you've come. I feel like we all have some sadness about our childhood. We all have that kind of inner child that needs maybe a little more attention, a little more unconditional love and support. And I feel like you've come into a place where you are able to do that for yourself. I think even if you use like visualization techniques, if you kind of meditate on it, active imagination, imagining yourself kind of meeting your child self and kind of telling them how well you all are doing, hugging them, letting them know that they're loved and safe and everything's going to be okay. You would be surprised how much this really helps ultimately. It seems silly, I know. It sounds like it's kind of just a silly role-playing thing, but I really do think having this kind of empathy for the other parts of ourselves can be so healing and quite important. So, all right. And this is the last one I want. Look at, it looks like kind of a, almost like a devil, like a side profile, and the horn is here, and then they're kind of helping this person, holding onto their hand, and this person looks like they're skating. And I almost feel like, I really feel like they're in alignment with all of this other kind of archetypal stuff we were talking about at the beginning, kind of standing on the hard work that you have done. We have this, it's almost like a kind of a integration through shadow work, kind of really facing some of those darker themes and elements of your psyche, and letting that really help you, not only to kind of balance yourself. You think you balance yourself on the ice, you know, it's, ice skating is difficult if you've never done it. It really is hard, not easy. But I feel like, you know, there's a sense of this integration, acceptance of, you know, maybe some of the darker energies of self, some of those things that you've like hidden away, confronting them, being accepting, and sublimating some of it maybe. But whatever it is, I feel like this really has helped you balance yourself more and more and more. This has put you into a position of having a greater perspective, many perspectives maybe, the ability to be more creative, to kind of have, you know, opposing points of view, cognitive dissonance, a little bit of absurdity possibly. And I think all of this really adds to a more cultivated being, right? And so this, to me, is a beautiful image. You know, not vilifying parts of yourself that you find difficult. Do you have to succumb to those parts? Of course not, right? But if we do not kind of accept, or at least look at some of the things that we are afraid to, or we have been conditioned to believe are, you know, terrible things, you know, I mean, it could be anything, having self-confidence or desire, or, you know, I mean, whatever it is. We don't want to look at them. We push it away. We hide it from ourselves. We hide it from other people. Well, oftentimes other people see it. It's plain as day. Because we're all kind of, we have that intuitive quality, that survival, that ability for survival. I think so often people just don't have the self-awareness to know that how people perceive them, that they see the things that they're trying to hide from everybody else and from themselves. Those things come up. I mean, they slip out in the things you do, the things that you're interested in, the way you talk, things you talk about. It's kind of like this idea of a Freudian slip, you know. These parts of psyche will find their way out. And if you do try to suppress them too much, they can become some kind of monster. And I think this is often why some people, they, you know, as they change throughout their different parts of life, seasons of life, they kind of become more and more almost like demented, demonic, violent, resentful, angry, you know, just do things that most would consider very out of character. But a lot of times it's because you try to hide part of yourself so much that it becomes something so big in the dark. You can't control it. It comes out of you. And so when you really do look at and confront things that you find unsavory about yourself, then it is way more manageable. You know, we have to do, you know, in my example here, I know I talk about these kinds of things and it's like, well, what does that mean really? Well, my example for me is like addiction, any kind of addiction. You know, have had substance abuse addiction, and that means like drugs and alcohol and things. And although I never hid it per se, I always knew it was there, but I let it really rule my life. And I did that not happily, but you know, I was very committed to that road of self-destruction for a long time, from a young age, very young age, a preteen even, on into, I was almost 30, right? And so, you let these things kind of really become something so big in your life, but only when I was willing to confront it and do something about it, to not let it be the major marker of my being, of my personality, of how I exist, to meet it with empathy and love, and meet myself with empathy and love, and try to understand. And it took many years. I mean, I'm still working on it. I'm almost 10 years sober in recovery, and I still struggle. And you know, I'm still an addict. I still have other addiction issues. Of course, you know, I try to put that into things that are more useful to me, you know, my projects, my interests, my whatever. But, you know, it's something that has to be continually worked on and looked at, excavate the old thing, the self-mythology, the origins, all of that kind of thing. And only through that kind of work do we turn these things into tools for us, right? Into something that helps support what we're doing, what we want to do, so that we may thrive. And again, for me, in my example, using my addictive personality, my fixations, hyper focus on things, I'm able to study more, you know, create more. I love to cook. That's one big thing. When I got sober, I decided I barely knew how to cook anything. I taught myself from the internet and watching, you know, videos and things, how to do. And now I cook, you know, a couple meals every day at least. Many meals throughout the week, throughout the year, a lot. So, you know, it's just an example of taking something and sublimating it into something useful for our lives, right? You can't destroy parts of yourself. I'm an addict through and through, right? But I'm going to make it into something that hopefully isn't going to kill me, you know, or torment me, because I honor it. I honor this part of my personality, this thing that runs through my family line, and not make it something that is shameful and damning and a curse. It can be useful, but you have to really be dedicated to, you know, really doing that kind of work, that shadow work. And so when I see an image like this, I think, you know, do you have something? It could be anything. I'm not saying it's addiction or anything like that, but there's something that, you know, you find troubling about yourself or hard to expose about yourself. You know, and again, that could be through conditioning or just some kind of, you know, personal relationship with this thing that you don't like to look at. But because you have probably been doing some kind of shadow work, healing, acceptance of self, radical self-love, you are making it also work for you. It is helping you balance your life so that you are able to be more productive, so that you have confidence, so that when you wake up, yeah, the world isn't perfect. There's a lot of stuff going on that is very scary and dark and, you know, out of our control. But there's also tons of beauty. I mean, we are infinitely blessed to have consciousness and to also have that matched up to a physical form that allows us to, you know, experience this reality dimension, simulation, whatever it is, right? So I think that, you know, this is a really powerful place to be in. I've been really interested in this kind of story arc of Pisces because it seems to me that you are growing in your understanding, and that is kind of pouring out of you into being able to accomplish the things that you want to. Hi, buddy. Okay, so I want to look at this one. We have, oh, okay. Take the whole plate with you. We have a bird who is flying, and we have a person who is standing here gazing up at it. So I feel like a place of daydreaming, conceptualizing, you know, if you don't know what active imagination is, go and look it up. Maybe a really interesting technique for you to try out. Okay. But ultimately, we'll call it daydreaming, right? I think that you have a lot of beautiful places, a lot of interesting places to go in your mind. Use that. Don't be afraid of it. That's another thing. We're conditioned to stop daydreaming, stop drifting off, you know, stop fantasizing. Well, I don't know why people are so down. I guess it's not good for time management, but it is a superpower if you retain that ability into your adulthood. Okay, so use it. Use it, use it, use it. Okay, so we're going to look at the Indigo Sage affirmation cards. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of go in here and split this where it feels right. Okay, and we have some beautiful little mushrooms. We're going to look at this, and it says, Sublime Symphony, you are part of a chorus of peace. Celebrate life as an offering to divine love. All right, there you go. I like it. I like it. I don't have much to say. It's pretty perfect, right? I think that, you know, you are living in that power place. You're a Pisces. You have a lot of love to give, a lot of love to create. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. If you'd be so kind as to like the video, it helps us get into the algorithm. And we know the algorithm kind of chooses who is going to get out there and push further into new audiences and things. So, we like to make the algorithm happy with engagement, and that is things like liking the video, watching the reading from the beginning to the end, sharing the readings on other social media platforms. If you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. Other than that, if you want to leave a comment, please do. I read them all. Sometimes it takes me a day or two to get back just because I do reply to each one. every comment means so much to me. I mean, it really makes me feel like I'm connecting with you all. The sense of community is growing and keeps me wanting to do these readings. So I would love to hear from you. Other than that, we will talk in just a couple days here. All right, Pisces. Thank you, thank you, thank you.